At the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to two girl climbers who are releasing their backpacks to get to the very top. One of the girls, named Ashley, is looking at her ring, remembering the guy who gave it to her. Suddenly, a noise is heard outside. The heroine and Sophie come out of the cabin and see a group of guys who also decided to spend the weekend in the mountains. After a while, Josh decides to knock on the girl's door and suggests they come to the party. Sophie feels interested in the guy and wants to go with him, but Kelly reacts to the invitation in a less than rosy way. Meanwhile, Josh's friends discuss that they are the only ones going to the mountaintop. They also criticize the guy for liking Sophie since he is already engaged. Suddenly, Josh shows up and starts a banter with his buddies. Taylor asks the guy to behave appropriately, which leads to a quarrel between them, which turns into a real showdown. Meanwhile, Sophie tries to persuade the heroine to go to their new acquaintances at the party and have fun there. Kelly gives her consent, which pleases her friend. With Josh and his group, the girls sit around the fire and have a lively conversation. Taylor discovers that Kelly and her friend are going to climb to the top of the mountain on the cliff, while they are walking along the trail, because it is safer that way. Sophie ridicules them for such a cowardly decision. Kelly, tired of the noise and fun, decides to go to bed, but Josh grabs her arm. The girl manages to break free and leave. At home, Kelly revisits a videotape with her boyfriend named Luca. The heroine cries and remembers the first time she saw him at a rock climbing course. Meanwhile, Reynolds notices that Sophie has been drinking a lot and asks Josh not to pour her any more alcohol. The guy ignores his words and suggests that the girl go to the mountain together tomorrow. However, Sophie reminds him that the guys are going to travel up the slope as tourists. The girl makes out with Josh, after which she decides to go into the bushes for a while. The guy reminds the friend that he has Emmy, to which the guy reacts very rudely and leaves. Sophie sees Josh, but asks him to leave her alone. Taylor hears this and decides to come to the girl's rescue. Reynolds criticizes Josh and decides to find Sophie to talk to her calmly. The girl hides, not believing that everything will be resolved peacefully. The boys manage to catch up with Sophie at the edge of the cliff. Enraged by the girl's attempts to escape, Josh hits her. Unable to hold on, Sophie falls down with a terrible sound. A waking Kelly hears this and tries to find her friend. Reynolds tries to call a rescue team for a still-breathing Sophie, but Josh throws his phone away, thinking it's dangerous. Taylor says they'll all go to jail if the cops find out. Reynolds recalls another similar story from the past, but Josh is sure they weren't caught then and won't be caught now. Sophie continues to ask for help and suffers from her wounds. Josh decides to end her torment and fights with Reynolds about it again. All the guys take turns touching the rock that bears the marks of their crime. Kelly senses that something wrong has happened and turns on the camera. Meanwhile, Taylor remembers that they need to remove the remnants of Josh's skin from under the girl's fingernails so the cops don't suspect them of being involved in the crime. The heroine approaches the crime scene and records everything on camera as Josh and the others throw Sophie down. Kelly screams, then attracts the attention of the guys, and realizes that she urgently needs to escape. The girl manages to hide behind a rock, temporarily escaping from the pursuit. Suddenly, Kelly faces Reynolds, but the guy says it's okay and he won't tell Josh about it. However, the guy has been silently watching the scene. The heroine grabs her backpack with her gear and runs through the woods again. This time she is spotted by Taylor and calls out to the rest of the guys. The girl gets trapped in front of a rock and realizes that she has only one way up. The guys get to the spot and watch as Kelly and her camera move away from them up the cliff. Taylor follows her on her heels, but the heroine steps on his hand to escape. The guy manages to grab the girl's backpack, from which a video camera flies out. Then a mountaineering outfit flies at Taylor, which almost throws him down. Kelly picks up the camera and continues to crawl up the cliff. She is grabbed by Taylor, but the heroine pushes him down. After the fall, the guy damages his leg very badly and screams in pain. Josh criticizes Reynolds for letting Kelly go then at camp and says he'll definitely get to her. The guys leave an injured Taylor at the house, having first given him painkillers, and head out again to look for the girl. Kelly, meanwhile, takes a small rest stop, drinks some water and puts on more comfortable shoes. The guys discuss that without rope gear, the heroine won't be able to get down. Josh suggests that they overtake Kelly by walking on the trail, since it will soon get colder up there and the girl won't be able to move quickly. When the guy leaves, Reynolds tries to talk some sense into Zach and tell the police about everything. However, Zach reminds him that he has Sophie's bite on his arm and the cops are unlikely to believe that Josh alone set it all up. Reynolds brings up the man who became disabled because of them, but Zach says they didn't get caught then and it will be the same now. Josh retrieves his gloves from the lodge, but feels intimidated when his friend asks why he's been so delayed. Kelly continues to climb higher, remembering Luca's words about how in climbing, like chess, you have to use your brain. The girl suddenly stumbles upon a poisonous snake and freezes to avoid provoking it. The animal disappears into a crevice, and the heroine continues on her way. Meanwhile, the guys also begin to climb the mountain. Kelly greedily drinks the water, but the bottle soon slips out of her hands and flies down, and Josh watches. The guy continues to mock the heroine, leaving comments of praise for himself from her phone. Kelly continues to crawl up, although her whole body is shaking from fatigue. Suddenly the girl notices a rope nearby, but realizes that it is very dangerous to reach for it. Kelly makes a hook from the wire and reaches the rope. The girl manages to climb over to another rock with a rope, remembering Luca's lessons. Josh and his guys, meanwhile, follow the trail and wait for Kelly on it. The guy offers the girl to give them the camera, and then no one will get hurt. However, instead of the camera, the heroine gives Josh a note with unflattering words. Reynolds again talks to Zach about the fact that their friend is inadequate. Zach reminds them that they once avenged Taylor together. In the meantime, Kelly examines the equipment on the cliff nearby. By nightfall, she manages to make a sleeping place for herself, where she won't be afraid of falling down. Zach shows Josh the heroine's notes from her diary. It turns out that exactly 1 year ago, she was here with Luca, but he snapped and lost his life. That's why Kelly is here to pay tribute to him. Josh uses this information against the girl. At night, the guys ram the heroine's tent, causing Kelly to nearly fall down. The girl grabs their backpack, and Josh decides that by cutting the rope he will get rid of his problem once and for all. However, Kelly manages to save herself by grabbing onto a ledge. The girl returns to the tent, but she is suddenly attacked by Zach. The heroine manages to disarm him with a crowbar and grab the ledge to avoid falling down. Zach asks Josh to pull him up, realizing that Kelly and the camera will have to go up with him. However, the heroine falls down, cutting their rope, and grabs onto the tent. The moment Kelly reaches the ledge, her last refuge flies into the abyss. Meanwhile, the guys try to rehabilitate an injured Zach. Reynolds suggests they leave Kelly alone. The girl can neither go down nor up, which means she's trapped and will fall sooner or later, followed by the evidence camera. Josh agrees and goes to bed. Zach begins to suspect that their friend already destroyed Taylor when he took the gloves, and they're next in line. Besides, he was going to call Emmy, but in fact their engagement has long been broken off. The girl caught Josh cheating and canceled the wedding. Zach suggests using the guy's watch to signal the emergency services and escape. Reynolds doesn't understand why there's such a rush, but his friend convinces him that otherwise they'll follow Taylor. Josh overhears their conversation and neutralizes Reynolds. Afterward, he tells Zach that he has been using his friend's wife for a long time, although Zach thought she was just going to Pilates. After calming his friend down, Josh talks to Kelly again and proposes a deal. He believes that anyone can be bought, you just need to name the right amount. However, the heroine is silent, and Josh goes back to sleep. In the morning, Zach gets up on the edge of the cliff, and it turns out to be fatal for him. Reynolds wakes up and asks where their friend is. Josh lies that Zach went downstairs to see Taylor and he called Emmy himself. Reynolds comes downstairs to see Kelly, promising that he can gain her trust and then destroy her with a hammer. The heroine tells the guy that Zach won't call any rescuers because Josh has already thrown him off a cliff. Reynolds takes the camera from Kelly and asks her to scream so the guy upstairs will believe he destroyed it. However, the memory card remains in the heroine's possession. Reynolds decides to call Taylor, but realizes that his friend's phone is in Josh's possession for some reason. A violent confrontation ensues between the two. During the battle, Josh manages to disarm his friend and take away his hammer. The guy douses Reynolds with fuel and throws him down so that Kelly can watch it. The girl recalls how Luca tried to propose to her on a cliff, after which he threw himself down. Kelly decides to take action and get to the knife that Zach dropped. She succeeds in doing so, and near the backpack she again notices a poisonous snake. The heroine decides to eat what Reynolds brought her, but Josh suddenly comes down to her. The girl informs him that she has hidden the memory car, and even if something happens to her, it will definitely be found. Kelly lies that the map is in the crevice, agreeing to exchange it for her ring. However, instead of a memory card, Josh discovers a poisonous snake that bites him. The enraged guy attacks Kelly, but she manages to disarm him, take the ring and call rescuers with the help of his watch. After that, the heroine avenges her friend by sending Josh down the cliff. Dawn comes and Kelly manages to get over the ledge, after which she makes it to the top in memory of Luke and Sophie. This is the end of the movie. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this movie, and see you in new videos.